I think we also have to think in terms of rights as a process and as a practice, no? And also think broader in terms of norms, what are accepted norms, what are accepted practices, how people are viewed and how we speak about people. And it's also about not only about absolute rights in the sense, but also about speaking to each other, about deliberation, which kind of societies we want to be and which one we want to build together. And I think that's one of the main pillars also of interculturalism, exactly this exchange, this encounter, which builds and which strengthens social cohesion. And I think there is already lots of answer about how we can achieve equality, equal rights, but also how can we address concerns people have. And this is one point I want to talk about. Also in the sense that to take into account also public opinion, how people think and feel, how this is shaped, in addition also, to these right spaces. Super diversity is like, or as many people call it, a super diversity, that like diversity is much more complex, that it's not migrants versus non-migrants, natives versus migrants, but that we all, each of us has different categories, our identity, but also our rights, our chances and opportunities are based upon. And these are also contextual. They differ also, like from the context I'm in, from my role I'm in. So I think to realize this complexity within society, rather than seeing society as constituted in binaries, I think it's very important first to realize them. And then also, what does it mean then in terms of also how which policies we design? So it's not policies which reproduce these like very binary dichotomous categories, but which realize again the complexity, the intersectionality of society, and also realizing also similarities, and also that people are often at the same time advantaged or privileged and or disadvantaged so to see also these different positions people hold. I think this is very important. So what I will also touch upon in the speech is like really, I think the crucial thing and the big value also in interculturalism is the intercultural encounter, creating like meaningful encounters and meaningful relations. And I think if it only remains of the surface, when it's only about selling diversity in order to brand a city, then maybe we cannot create such meaningful encounters, which are also respectful of each other. Then it might be very surface encounters, then it might be only for marketing purposes. I think also what we know from research, that attitudes to migrants or to migration are also shaped by whether migrants are conceived to contribute economically or not. So I think it matters, the economic dimension matters, but I think my concern or worry is if we only remain at the surface level and at it, or if we only market diversity, then we also reproduce like dichotomies, categories of migrants versus natives, whereas reality is not that simple and much more complex. And again, also there is much more that unites us rather than that distinguishes us in many ways. And I think we also have to focus on this. And I think exactly this is also what interculturalism in theory does. Also focusing on society as a whole and the complexity of society rather than migrants versus natives. I think that's an important point. Yeah, I think there is many good practices, like also like emerging, just the fact that often it's in cities where people come together where they take action from below, no? I think that's a very good practice in itself, or these everyday encounters. I think this is already very crucial, but also in terms of good practices, it's also really creating these spaces of encounters, of meaningful encounters. And I think this is where many cities already take very good examples and take the lead also in this sense. I think this would be one component. Other components would be also which type of educational institutions do we provide and which norms do we convey in these educational institutions. This is also something where cities have lots of leverage, no? Yeah, and which social environments do we create that makes people also accustomed or used also to differences and diversity in this sense.